Hey guys, you are back with Tech Nick, and today we will be talking more about the Vivo NEX S. Now I've brought you the unboxing video and I've brought you the in-depth review. Let's talk about some tips and tricks that set this phone with this software apart from many other phones. Now we know that Android P and iOS 12 are bringing some pretty extravagant things to the table, and though they might not be game-changing, they are definitely changing the way that you use your phone. Over the last year we've had things such as gestures, full screen gestures on phones, which has been great. But now phones are starting to specialize in departments and make certain things great about their phones because they want you to buy their phone. Now Vivo does a lot of things, and the good thing is that it does a lot of things right. Now these 15 features are things it does right. There are a few suggestions in the video that I just think that Vivo NEX S users should change about their Vivo to make it a little bit easier for day-to-day use, but mainly I'll be talking about the options in the settings of the software that you can use that make this phone great and set it apart from the rest. So stay tuned for 15 tips and tricks.
Fingerprint sensor. First thing we've got to do is go into settings. I think the little gear icon in the control panel is the easiest way to get to settings. Once we go in there, shoot down to fingerprints and passwords. Plug in your password, 6 or 4-digit passcode, add a fingerprint to either your existing or none that you have. Now to register it, I feel the best way when unlocking your phone with the setup is to just lightly rest your finger on. Don't push it in deep and just keep it straight and flat on, and when it asks you to slightly move your finger, then do that. The suggested way definitely is the best. Now scanning your edges, don't scan all the edges of your finger, just scan it how you would naturally open your phone with the fingerprint sensor. So just use that edge. I feel like it's just my right thumb going down like that. Yeah, and then once that is done, it is nice and snappy and quick. Also, don't forget to register your fingerprint through your payments. So open up payment and add it to the payment section of whichever app you would prefer. Now, making use of this beautiful AMOLED display, we can put an always on display on. So go to lock screen, home screen and wallpaper, hit always on display, change the active time you want it on, which is a really nifty feature. You don't want it on at night, for example. You can then go and change the appearance of it. There are many options. You can always hit online clock and download some more if you want. People will create them as well. It's really cool. You can also add a background, which is nice, but I like to keep it nice and simple to save some battery. Another cool thing about it is that when the phone does turn off, like I've mentioned in my review, the fingerprint sensor disappears. Though it's not the best thing, it does make it look more elegant when looking at the always on display, which is quite cool. If your navigation gestures are not already enabled, I suggest you go through to settings, system navigation, and enable navigation gestures should you want them over navigation keys. If you hit about navigation gestures, there is a nifty little simple tutorial that shows you how to use navigation gestures. There's only 3, which is swiping up from the left, the middle and the right of the screen, which they show you pretty easily, so you can get it within the settings menu itself. But some extra things like the navigation gesture styles, which is really cool. I think most phones should have this option, such as choosing lines or dots or keep it empty. I prefer to keep it empty. I think it's just a neater look, especially in apps. You don't see those lines or dots anywhere, which is cool. So yeah, I mean, if you slide up from the left, you get access to the control panel. If you slide up from the center, then you will go home. If you slide and hold from the center, you'll open up currently used apps, and if you slide up from the right, you will go back. Now I do think that Vivo's Jovi Smart Assist does help, so head over to settings, Jovi, and the first thing to do is go to Smart Scene. So on Smart Scene, you can select different things that you want and adjust it however you want it. Then if you go back home, you can slide to the left of your home screen and you will see all the things that you have there. It is quite nifty, but I think mainly for mainland China users. Another thing with Jovi, if you go back to settings, is the smart button. Now you can't change this to anything that you want, but the image recognizer is really cool, and if you hit that smart button, you can recognize an image to find it online or where you could buy that object. You can select text that you can't usually select, you can translate something if you're overseas, and you can search whatever is on the screen, which I think is quite nifty. Now another useful feature to turn on is in settings, and that is Vivo's, you go into sound and vibration, you hit hi-fi. This is Vivo's V1 sound DAC chip in the phone, so it makes sound through wired headphones sound breathtaking with that included 3.5mm jack. You can read all about it and see how it works on there. Just select the apps that you want and you're good to go. Another useful feature is found in settings. You go through to smart motion, and then we will open up Smart Wake. Now Smart Wake is similar to Huawei's knuckle gesture thing, but when the screen is off, you pretty much slide your finger up to unlock it, down to take a photo, and you can even draw something such as a W to open up WeChat. Unfortunately, you can't customize it the way that Huawei do have it, where you can change it to any other thing using those gestures, but it does work a lot better than Huawei's knuckle gestures where you have to knock it in the phone. This, you simply just slide with your finger. I mean, it picks it up straight away. It actually works fantastically good. I can't tell you how amazed I was when I picked up on this feature, actually not even a week ago. It's really great. And W, WeChat, unlock, bam. To settings and back to smart motion. Going to smart turn on off screen. I think it's a terrible name, but it is pretty much raise to wake the phone. Enable this. Double click to light, another silly name, and double tap to turn off your screen. This is pretty much, you can double tap to turn on your screen and double tap to turn off your screen, which works every single time. I had issues with this on the Xiaomi Mi Mix 2S, but this works perfectly on the NEX. It is nice and smooth, and raising to wake is just instant. It is really an epic feature that all phones should have. If you have little baby hands but you still want this ginormous phone, you still can get it if you are willing to go in one-handed mode. I think it's a cool option if you do have small hands. So the way that they show using the gesture is actually wrong. I find that if you pull in from the left and back to the right really quickly, it does it really well. If you do how they say pull in and then go down towards the bottom corner of the screen, it doesn't work so well. I find another useful option in the settings menu is Smart Click. Now if you hold down on the volume down button, then it will open this up when your phone is locked, such as camera, but I find the swiping gesture is actually quicker. You can change this to any app that you want, but I just left it on camera for now anyway. So yeah, I think that Samsung's double tap is better, but if you just hold down, it might take 2 seconds, but it does work once it triggers. So yeah, there it is. Now, as I've said before, I think that Vivo's one-upped Apple with their control center. So if you head over to settings, if it's not already enabled, go to more settings, control center, make sure this is turned on, and once it's turned on, you can slide it from the left and you can scroll to the left and right. You can also go more options and you can customize it just like you can on most Android phones. Notification panel from the top. I feel like this is a big phone, so pulling it up from the bottom is a lot easier to do than going all the way to the top, stretching your finger to pull down a notification panel. You can edit this however you want, just like you can with a notification center on most phones, and it works really well and it's really easy to use. Now, creating folders on phones can't be too different, right? You just hold down on the app, throw it into another app to make a folder, change the folder's name, which is great, but with this you can simply hit add. Instead of dragging apps into that folder, you can tick any apps that you want. Once you're done, you can tap away from the screen. Another cool thing is if you do decide to drag an app into a folder, it is really tedious on most smartphones to try switch between pages. Like sometimes it just gets so frustrating. So they've neatly laid out pages at the bottom of the screen, which is seriously convenient to just quickly go to that page and pop the app into that folder. Just a quick honorable mention here. I feel like scrolling between pages is cool, but Vivo does a great job of you being able to hold down on those little dots at the bottom of the screen and just slide it through. So if you know what page an app is on, you can quickly get to it like that. I think it's a lot smoother and a lot quicker. Now, another thing that Android phones have is the use of widgets. Now, normally you can pinch into the middle of the screen to access your widgets, or hold down on a screen to access widgets as well, but you have to find a blank space, which kind of sucks. Once you hit it though, you have all your widgets here, which is really cool. They're there for most apps, and they have some pre-installed ones that's really great. Another cool thing is dynamic sliding effect. So once you tap on a dynamic sliding effect, it gives you a quick example of what it will look like if you choose to select it. I prefer the sliding one, but there are some really cool ones here that I have tried, and they all work really smooth. I'm just more of a simple guy, so I'll just stick with slide. If you purchase this phone with the intention of using Google services, you're going to struggle a bit because it's the Chinese version. You won't see any Google apps on here. A simple workaround that I just thought I'd throw in for you. Use their built-in browser app. Go to google.com and type in Google Play Store APK. Hit the first link, which I'll actually put below this video here. Go to APK Pure, download this APK file, and yeah, it is actually pretty self-explanatory. Once it is downloaded, it will simply pop up saying that you can install this. Now, a lot of the thing with Vivo is it will ask for permissions a lot of the time. Read them and allow them. But yeah, you can just hit here, continue installation. I already have this, but you would just hit install. Once it's installed, it's there. You can open it up and use it. If you are in China, you're going to need a VPN, unfortunately. But if you're anywhere around the world, it will just work normally like it would on any other Android device. Now, before you start searching things on the Play Store, the first thing you should search for is Gboard. Now, the keyboard in here might be okay for some, but I think it is utterly crap. Mainly for Chinese users, I guess. So go into the Play Store, download Gboard. Once you've got Gboard running, you can go down to more settings. You can hit input method, change your default input method to Gboard. Take off the security input, because once you have to put in a password, it always brings up its default keyboard and not Gboard. So if you turn that off, you can use Gboard. Okay, then you can go hit Gboard down at the bottom and you can change all your settings. There's so many preferences and so much to do. I feel like Gboard is the best keyboard out there, especially because you can have all of your preferences throughout all your Google devices, which is great in my opinion. It works just the same, if not better, than Apple's keyboard for sure. And I think that it looks great. And you can swipe, which is even better.
So that is it for the Vivo NEX S top tips and tricks from me, your friend, Mr. TechNick. Now, I just wanted to say one more thing to end this video off. I know that Vivo and other Android companies have actually got quite a bit of hate with how they change the Android software. Now, I think that skins on phones like Samsung use, and I mean HTC is very minimal, and obviously with the Pixels you have straight up Android, and with OnePlus you have fresh OS with barely any bloatware. But I mean, phones like Samsung and Huawei, I actually think that they deserve a little bit more respect, because they spend time and effort not only optimizing Android for their phones to make them faster, but to change things up, to set them apart from the rest of the phone industry, and just to make them enjoyable, let you have a more enjoyable experience. And I think that Vivo has nailed this personally. Actually, being able to do everything is one thing, but being able to do everything and get it right is just, for me, that is a game changer right there. And I think that this phone is for sure a game changer. I'm yet to review the Oppo Find X, but I have a feeling that's going to be my next video. So stay tuned for that one, guys. Please like, comment, give me your thoughts, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. And be sure to watch any other videos on my channel that you have not viewed as yet. So cheers, guys, and until next time. Bam!